The EU Council just sent Russian oil and gas the same way as the Russian warship. Yes, Europe has finally told Moscow enough. The European Council has approved a full phase-out of Russian fossil fuels. And this time, no Viktor Orban veto. The decision passed not by unanimity, but by a qualified majority vote, meaning most EU countries backed the move despite opposition of Hungary and Slovakia. It's a part of the Repower EU plan designed to end Europe's energy dependence on the Kremlin once and for all. The first restrictions will take effect in 2026, with a full ban by 2028. Zelensky calls Budapest a poor choice for Trump-Putin meeting. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed disappointment over plans for Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin to meet in the Hungarian capital, saying Budapest is not the right place for talks about ending the war in Ukraine. He told reporters that he had already raised the issue with Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff, suggesting alternative neutral locations such as Switzerland, Austria, the Vatican, Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Turkey. Zelensky added that the meeting should focus on peace in Ukraine, not on Hungary's domestic politics, hinting that Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government cannot be an impartial host. The Prime Minister, who constantly blocks Ukraine, cannot do anything positive for Ukrainians, he said. Trump's planned meeting with Putin would mark the Russian leader's first visit to an EU capital since the full-scale invasion began. European diplomats are also alarmed by the prospect of a dictator arriving in the EU country. It's humiliating to see Putin possibly welcomed in Europe, said EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas, reacting to a report of a planned meeting between dictator Putin and Donald Trump in Budapest. She called the very idea of such talks unpleasant and deeply troubling for all of Europe. Kallas stressed that any discussion about peace must include President Volodymyr Zelensky, not take place behind Ukraine's back. The United States has the power to push Russia to the negotiation table, and if that helps end the war, that's good, she said. But it's disturbing to see a man wanted by the International Criminal Court being received in EU country. Kallas also confirmed that the European Union is preparing its 19th package of sanctions against Russia this week. At the same time, the European Union is moving ahead with its 20th package of sanctions against Russia. According to Lithuania's foreign minister, the new measures are expected to target Russian and Belarusian exports with additional tariffs and introduce tougher restrictions on Russia's energy and financial sectors. Officials in Brussels admit that these areas have so far remained under sanctions and now want to close those gaps. Meanwhile, the 19th sanctions package is nearly ready and could be approved as early as Thursday. Austria has finally dropped its objection, clearing one of the last major obstacles. The only remaining holdout is Slovakia, which insists this issue be discussed by EU leaders on the October 23 summit. Even as debates continue, the goal remains clear: to drain the financial lifelines that keep Russia's war machine running. Ukraine prepares contract to purchase 25 Patriot air defense systems. President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that Ukraine is working on a long-term deal with American manufacturer to acquire 25 Patriot missile systems. The plan envisions phased deliveries over several years, though some units are urgently needed to strengthen Ukraine's air defenses now. Demand for the US-made Patriots remain high, with many allied countries already in line. Zelensky said the White House could help move Ukraine higher on that list, and that European NATO members holding US systems could also assist in speeding up the process. Funding is expected to come partly from profits generated by frozen Russian assets, along with other financial sources. Ukraine currently has 28 bilateral security agreements that make such defense purchases realistic. During his recent trip to the United States, Zelensky met with representatives of the Patriot manufacturer. Germany has also pledged to deliver 2 additional Patriot systems to Ukraine by the end of this year. On Ukraine's front lines, robots are changing the face of war. In the Kharkiv region, Ukrainian troops made Russian soldiers surrender, not to men, but to a machine. A small wheeled robot packed with more than 60 kilograms of explosive rolled up to a Russian trench. Moments later, a cardboard sign appeared from the dugout. We want to surrender. As the Washington Post reports, it was the first known case where an unmanned ground vehicle helped Ukraine capture both territory and prisoners. The mission carried out by the 3rd Assault Brigade showed how the war is shifting, not only in the air, but also on the ground. Land drones now resupply troops, evacuate the wounded, and increasingly take part in assaults. They are far cheaper than artillery, and they save lives. For the Ukrainian unit's commander, the victory was measured not in prisoners, but in survival. The best result, he said, is that not a single soldier was lost. Ukraine has become a testing ground for modern warfare, where innovation replaces manpower and technology becomes a weapon of endurance. There is an important story in Politica today. The European Union is considering a new accession model for Ukraine and Moldova, one that would allow them to join without full voting rights at first. The idea is to speed up their entry into the bloc, giving them access to the EU programs and markets while temporarily suspending their veto powers. This comes as Brussels looks to reform its decision-making system to prevent further deadlocks, like those repeatedly caused by Hungary, which has blocked or delayed EU aid to Ukraine and sanctions on Russia. For both Ukraine and Moldova, it could be a realistic bridge, joining the Union sooner and gaining full rights later once the EU is reformed. And for those of you intrigued by the Louvre robbery, let me tell you exactly what was stolen. From the museum in the very heart of Paris, 8 unique royal jewels have vanished. Tiaras, necklaces and earrings once owned by French queens and Empress Eugenia. The thieves broke into the famous Gallery d'Apollon, smashed 2 reinforced display cases and fled within minutes with treasures of immense historical value. Among the stolen pieces, a Ceylon sapphire and diamond tiara, once worn by Queens Marie Amélie and Hortense, and an emerald necklace Napoleon gave to his wife. The heist lasted just 7 minutes, and in France, they say this was more than just a crime. It was a blow to the nation's history and pride. The Louvre has been temporarily closed to visitors, and police have vowed to catch those who dare to lay their hands on France's royal crowns. That's all for now. For more content, please subscribe.